Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today it's time for another What's Blooming in My Water Efficient Landscape video. And I live in Utah, zone 6/7, and I have a front yard that is 40 to 50% edible, and the rest are water efficient perennials. Now I count the entire front yard as water efficient, and I want to show you what's blooming in July. Now July is a glorious, glorious month for blooms. Everything is gorgeous, everything still looks fresh, it's all filled in. And we're just getting ready to hit the lull of July. And the next video is going to show you what I do to handle the lull of flowers in July. But before we do that, we're going to show you what you missed that bloomed in June and what's blooming right now at the very end of June. So here we are on the south side of my property. There's not a ton blooming, but I love all the color and texture. So it doesn't really matter if there's a ton of flowers because you still get the illusion of color. Well, not the illusion, it's not an illusion, you still get color. But there are a few things blooming. Let's head over here and show you this first. This is a little wee one, lavender. I've absolutely loved these because of the small size and the long bloom period. Now, I may need to figure out a way to replace these because as you can see we're starting to get split. That means the base is getting really woody. And what I may want to try is the way Laura from Garden Answer prunes hers, where she prunes all of them to the base each and every year, and see if we can stop getting the woody base. These are around 7 years old, so they do last a long time, but they do eventually start splitting and need to be replaced. But until then, we need to enjoy the glorious blooms. These blooms will bloom for about another 3 to 4 weeks, and then they will fade off. And we will possibly get another small rebloom through October. We've done that some years and some years we haven't. This one is a flower that's just about ready to bloom. This is the Pugster Blue butterfly bush, and the bees and butterflies absolutely love it when it's in bloom, and it's one of my favorite flowers. They're absolutely gorgeous. We also have a little mountain mist pom-pom dianthus, which seems to be not a really long-lived little perennial. I had several of them for about 3 years, and all but 2 of them have died back. So I'm going to enjoy it while I have it, and then maybe see if there's a way to find some more. This is a little stonecrop, which is a kind of sedum, and it's starting its bloom cycle. This is an absolutely gorgeous perennial. By the time it's done blooming, it's going to be completely covered in yellow flowers. Now, I got this one on a garden tour. I really admired one that a lady had in her yard, and she gave me a little tiny sprig and said, go just stick that in the ground and you will have one. Well, now I have 5 around my yard from that one little cutting. They're really, really easy to grow. You just stick them in the ground and they grow. Over here we have another wonderful one. This is Magical Midnight Glow. This is a Hypericum, which is a St. John's wort. And look at the color contrast here. We've got the red seed pods or berries, we have the yellow flowers, and we have the beautiful colored foliage, the darker foliage. It's not all dark, but we do have some little hints of dark foliage all the way around the plant. And all of that together just is stunning. This is another one of my favorite perennials. Now, it does die back to the ground, but it is very water efficient. It doesn't need fertilizer. It doesn't need a lot of care. I just cut it back in the spring, and that's all I do to it. In the last video, we showed you my Atropurpureum alliums, and the white ones, which are the pom-pom alliums, were just in bud. Now they're flowering, and they seem to have quite a long flowering time. They've been flowering for a while, and as you can see, the bees absolutely love them. I love these kind of bumblebees with the little red to them, the red back. Don't know the name of them, but they're so cute. Another one of my favorites is just starting to bloom. This is a Vitex Agnus castus, and I'll link a video that I've done about these shrubs. They're semi-hardy in this area. I seem to be able to get them to not die back over the winter for about 3 years in a row, and then on the 4th year they'll die to the ground, but then they come back from the base. This one leafed out really, really late this year. I thought it possibly died back, but as you can see, it's leafed out beautifully and there's no dead branches on it. And we're going to have a glorious bloom. This is another one that all of the pollinators dearly love. Butterflies love them, especially the monarchs. This is another butterfly bush, and it's another pugster called amethyst. And I think they look like ice cream cones, and they are just so pretty. This is the height of its bloom, where it looks its very, very best. We've got another one up there, and I think they are gorgeous. Sorry about the air conditioning sounds, but this is what happens when you're in July here in Utah. But this right here is one of the lilies that is one of my trumpet lilies that is finally in bloom. I link a video above where I did a plant of the week video on lilies. This is one of them. This is another gorgeous one. These are my little yellow lilies. I think they're Asiatic lilies. I'm not sure. I just, I have not paid attention to what I have planted when it comes to lilies. Usually I get them from friends, or when I purchase them, I just get them in a mixed bag and really don't know what they are. But I think they're gorgeous, and the trumpet lilies smell amazing. Now, another one that's been a surprise and that I really have enjoyed is this little salvia. This is a little salvia. It's called platinum salvia. It's just about done blooming. Let's see if we can get it to focus in on the flowers. It's really hard to get them to focus in with background stuff. But the flowers are absolutely gorgeous. And what's really interesting about them is they will form these little, I don't know, these little growths that look like plants at the end. And this one is one of them. What I do is I stake them down to the ground and they actually grow. I transplanted this one from one of those tips, and there's another one down here that's starting to try to grow. So they seem really hardy. I love the color of the foliage, and the flowers are really beautiful. Now this is one of my large catmints. I need to decide whether or not I'm going to cut them back. If I'm going to cut it back, it's going to be this time of year that I need to do it. Because the last video I showed you, we had a big open spot in the center, and now we're getting all the regrowth. What I could do is go around and cut all of the edges off of it, and make it look a little more tidy, and then we'll get another big rebloom. Now if I don't cut this back, it's just going to look like this the rest of the year. It may get a little lighter in color because the flowers will start to die back a little bit, but it's always beautiful whether I cut it back or not. I'll show you another one where I'm going to need to cut it back because it's just gotten a little more out of control than this one. Now I haven't focused on showing this area too much because this is an area that I just still am not able to get the way I want it. This area is my annual area. The irrigation is tied to my garden beds in the back, so it goes off 3 times a week with the garden beds. And so I just stick annuals up here. I put some kale. We've got some kale there. We've got some Swiss chard buried in here. We've got some zinnias coming up in the back. The calendulas rebloom. And in the spring, it's full of all these beautiful little violas. Now this gets enough shade and enough water that the violas, or the little Johnny jump ups, just bloom throughout the year. Another one that we've got is the Corsican violet. This looks like a Johnny jump up, but it's a Corsican violet, and it's supposed to bloom all year round, and so far it is doing its job. Let's show you the other one that I have. This right down here is another little Corsican violet that's just blooming its little head off, and it hasn't stopped since early this spring. Now, oh, and here's another little Swiss chard. I've had to pull out the rest because they've just given me problems. We also had some snapdragons in the back, but it always just tends to look messy in here. I need to figure out a way to make this look better. But, it's not that bad. The pollinators absolutely love it. It's easy care. I'm just going to need to cut back the cosmos a little bit so we don't get it reseeding wildly throughout the property, because I don't want cosmos throughout my property. But it's kind of pretty. Now I can have these type of areas that are less water-wise than others and still count them as water-wise because I'm not watering these any extra. By that I mean I'm not watering them any more than I would water my garden beds. So when the garden beds go off, which they need to go off 3 times a week, they're producing my vegetables, this gets watered. So this I count as part of a water efficient landscape. If you can hydrozone plants that need a little bit more water, then you can still have them in your water efficient landscapes. Or even you can keep them in pots where you can control the water. And I'll show you one of those that I have. This right here is just starting its bloom. This is a germander. It stays evergreen over the winter. It's pretty drought tolerant, and the flowers are pink and gorgeous. The pollinators love it, and this is another one that tends to be one of my favorite perennials. I think we showed you this little plant in the last video. This is a Cape fuchsia. I'll put the name on the screen. It has a specific name to it. It's a perennial. I think most of them are only hardy to zone 8, but this is a specialized one by Terra Nova that is hardy down to zone 6, I think. My stepmom has one, and this is where I got the cutting from, and hers just blooms most of the year and is huge and gorgeous. And it just comes back every year without a lot of care. This is another pot that I have that has annual flowers in it. Now, I've had to go through and treat for budworms and do some extra fertilizing. I normally put fish emulsion at the top, but for some reason it has not been enough for this pot. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm finally getting my firefly petunias to come back. They were decimated by budworm, and they also just needed more fertilizer, but they're finally coming back. And I will show you a picture that I took where you probably won't be able to see them glowing because I don't have a camera that works well. But all of the new buds and the new tips of the growth glow beautifully. It's at night. It's absolutely amazing. They were not cheap plants, so I need to be a little bit more careful in how I take care of them and keep them fertilized. But yeah, it is coming back and it's looking a lot better. Now this middle section of my property just has not had a ton of bloom to it. It does in the spring, but right now is its lull. And what's carrying it off is the texture of the grasses. We've got the leaf color of the partridge feather, which is this gray one down here. The texture is absolutely gorgeous. And I've done a plant of the week video on those. We decided to put some more leaf texture in here. This is a spurge. I think it's rainbow ascot or something like that. I'll put the name on the screen. These are brand new, but they should fill all the way in. So this is our Zauschneria or hummingbird trumpet, and it's going to start blooming here shortly. Matter of fact, we've got our first blooms back there. Now I probably need to come through and thin this out a bit because it's trying to take over the world. It's taking over my beautiful little platinum sage that are in the back, so I need to come pull it out of the areas that I don't want it. But it is gorgeous. And I love the contrast of my little sundancer daisies, which are going to continually bloom all the way through frost. And they're just gorgeous. And pollinators seem to, I love them. There's some of the pollinators that love them. I haven't seen too many on them. But they're such pretty little flowers, and they just reseed themselves everywhere. And I love the contrast between that and my lavender. We've got a couple of little white lilies. These are offshoots from this white lily over here. I just picked some up, I just dug some up and planted them over here. There's one right here. And there's another one down here. I need to fertilize them so they'll fill out. I also love the color of the drops of Jupiter oregano, and pretty soon we're going to have pink blooms on those. Then so I can have a little more color this time of year, I went and bought a new one. This is a Tuscan sunset. This is a false sunflower or Heliopsis. And this is going to be a plant that's going to bloom heavily from mid-spring till probably midsummer. And that's going to cover the time of year where I have less blooms in this area. So I have one right here. And another one over here that are going to be in full bloom pretty soon. And hopefully they'll fill out really nicely and we'll have gorgeous pops of yellowish orange for next year. We have some more of my pom-pom alliums right here. Pretty soon we're going to cut these back. But I have a question. For those of you who grow alliums and know what it's doing right here, could you please let me know? Are these new little plants that could be planted? What's happening with that? I would love to know. This is the only one that's doing it, and I think it's kind of cool. It didn't open up with the flower, it opened up with these. Now this side is where all my color is. We have so much color here. We have more lilies. We have my little white Asiatic lilies that are just about done. We have the clear orange ones that are just about done. And this is the catmint that I need to cut back. I mean, you can see the new growth in the center, so I can go all the way around the edges that's spreading itself everywhere and cut it back so that we have a little tidier plant. We've got some more pom-pom alliums that just continue to get bigger with their blooms, and they're gorgeous, but I will be cutting all of these back as soon as the pom-pom alliums are done. This is what the seed pods of the other allium looks like. Our gorgeous, gorgeous butterfly weed. This is a Slepius tuberosa, and I know I'm probably butchering the name, but this is almost done blooming, but it's been absolutely gorgeous and I love it. We have the narrowleaf milkweed is blooming. Now I have not seen any caterpillars, nor have I seen any eggs from the monarchs on these yet. The monarchs tend to come more often when the chase tree is blooming. So this is my showy milkweed. I will be pulling the seed pods off of these. This is what the seed pods look like when they start to form, so that they don't spread themselves as more wildly than they already are. And I probably won't let the seeds of the narrowleaf milkweed go any further because I'll probably pull the seed pods off those because they're spreading themselves all over. Now, spreading themselves is not bad, but when they take over completely, I don't like that. This gorgeous plant right here is a moonshine yarrow, and it will bloom off and on most of the year, and I absolutely love it. Our little pine leaf penstemon is almost done blooming, but I think I'm going to leave the bloom stalks on this and see if we can get it to reseed, because as you can see, we're starting to get dieback on this one. This one on the other side seems to be doing a little bit better. This right here is another trumpet lily. This is one of my oldest lilies. I absolutely love the color of it, and it is gorgeous. And then we have all of the color of the lavender through here. This is the other little mountain mist pom-pom dianthus. We've got one little bloom left there. It'll be interesting to see how long this one lasts. I may try to split this and spread this around a little bit. Now we're back to the center, and I forgot to show you my little pink salvia. I cut it back a little while ago, and now we're getting a tiny little bit of a rebloom. When they rebloom, they don't bloom as glorious as they do the first time, but you do get a little bit of color. Now this was just planted this year, so it should increase in size and be more beautiful next year. My May-night salvia is also going through its second bloom cycle. If I cut this back, I'll get even a smaller third bloom cycle, but you can continue the color if you just continue to cut them back. We've got another Pugster Blue butterfly bush that's getting ready to bloom. And my pomegranate tree back there is just finishing up its bloom, but it looks like we may get 1 or 2 pomegranates out of it. We've got another kind of Asiatic lily. This one has really beautiful speckled interior that I absolutely love. And it's starting to be time for the purple cone flowers. This is the first bloom of the purple cone flowers, and we've got a ton of them. And pretty soon this whole area is just going to be full of those gorgeous purple blooms. This is the last bit of bloom from my showy milkweed that's on this side. This one I continuously every day have to go through and pull out little new growths all the way around all through my garden bed because I only want one clump of these. These can take over, but the butterflies love them, so we keep it. This is another one of my stone crops. It's in a little bit of a heavier bloom than the other one is. And then back here, we don't have a lot of blooms going on, but we do have my Sundancer daisy and this gorgeous summer spice. I can't remember the name. I'll put the name on the screen, but it's a summer spice hardy hibiscus with a little grasshopper in there. It's getting ready to bloom. So this one is going to be full of blue hibiscus. They're absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I remember the name. It's Summer Spice Cordon Bleu. So yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. They have a little bit of a red center to them. So that's the overview of what's blooming in my water efficient landscape in June, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now I would love to hear what flowers bloomed in June that were your favorite, and then which flowers you use for the coming lull in bloom in July, or do you have a lull in bloom in July? So hopefully this video has been helpful for you. If it has been helpful, I hope you like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.